Hello and welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist Podcast. My name is Manny Romero and I'm your host today. And man, it is another episode. I'm trying to pump these out every week, but things happen where I'm not able to do that. Last week I think it was Labor Day, so I took the day off with the family. And you know what? I'm not ashamed about it. I'm not ashamed about not being able to meet the deadline to release an episode because I'm trying to practice what I preach here, man. I'm trying to preach being a leader, a present father, a good husband, a good man. And for me, somebody that has three kids and a wife, I want to be there, right? I want to be there, and I'm prioritizing that. So I was like, you know what? I will skip this time, and we'll have to come on to the next one. And here we are, another episode of the Mr. Therapist Podcast, where we talk about what it takes to be a present leader. As a father, as a husband, as a man in our society today, we talk about mental health, personal development, relationships, topics in that realm of things. And if you're somebody who knows you were, built for more than maybe where you're at right now, who wants to be more present as a father, who wants to learn how to lead their family, who wants to leave a legacy, who just is tired of maybe not 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 fulfilling, I guess, their full potential here, and isn't really sure just how to get on the right track here and lead your family the way you need to be, or leave the right impression and legacy that you want to leave, then this podcast is for you because we talk about a lot of great things, great concepts and things. And man, I had an amazing episode that I recorded this last time around relationships and a tool that doesn't get talked about very much, which is active listening, but it's a tool that I use a lot with my clients. Um, you know, so we got some valuable stuff here, man. So keep coming on. Make sure you click the subscribe button or the follow button here, so that we can make sure that we get these out to you whenever we record them. Which is the aim is for once a week, and we're going to get there, and I promise you that. So, on top of that, just know that I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. And although I am a licensed therapist, just know that this is not therapy. It does not replace therapy. Please take the things that I say with a caution, because I don't know who you are, so I can't really treat you the way that I would treat maybe a client of mine who I know and who I've done a thorough assessment with. If you're looking for help, make sure to seek out a professional therapist, counselor, psychiatrist, wellness coach, whatever that is, right? But someone who can actually sit with you, learn about you, and be able to guide you the way that you need to be guided, because you deserve that level of care, my friend. So that's it, man. So so football season's back. I just kind of a little banter here. Football season is back, and I just wanted to share how excited I am for that, because man, I miss football. I missed football. It is a long, what is it? February, March, April, May, June, July, a long 6, 7 months, man, without football, and it's finally back. And I am a Charger fan, and my Bolts were able to do a beatdown on the Chiefs in Brazil, which is a sweet, sweet victory for yours truly, because those dang Chiefs, man, we don't always get the best of them. So it's always nice when you can get one in there. So if you like football, let me know. I don't know if you're into football, who your team is. Well, this isn't about talking crap about each other's teams or anything like that, but just want to see if there's any fellow football enthusiasts out there who is excited that the team is back. By the way, with football season coming back, um, something that is relevant to the podcast is like conversations have to come back with the family around just like boundaries around football, right? Like I have to tell my family, like, make sure that you do not disrupt me around this time on Sunday, Mondays, and some Thursdays. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. But we do have to have conversations and dialogue around just what that's going to look like, right? I can get glued to the TV and watch football for a full Sunday, and not interact with anybody. And so I have to be super mindful of that. And with my family, one thing that I really want what I really envision is having a football family where, and I'm the first generation in my family that likes football and wants to just have. I see the people who wear the football attire, the families wear the football attire together. They go to all the games together. They're deep, deep fans of their team, and so I kind of envision having that in my family as well. And so I've had conversations with my wife about like, hey, what's it going to take for us to be able to do that? Um, and that right there, just I know it's something silly like football, but like it's something that I envision and something that is important to me, and I would love to have someday. And so it took a conversation for me to like ask, sort of talk to my wife and see, well, what would it take you to buy into something like this? For her, she said it's about like making it an experience, right? So like because I get glued to the TV and I don't talk to anybody, that's going to have to change, right? Like we would have to make this a real family oriented experience, right? So where it might take what it might take from me. It might be me not being glued to the TV and like just being in and out of the game mentally while I'm attending to the family, cooking for the family, doing something where the family is having an experience. And so that might take me giving up being fully immersed in the game, right? Which I'm okay with actually, because I know that that's going to pay off at some point 10, 15, 20 years down the road, if I'm still here, which I plan to be. Um, that's I'm creating a culture around football, a good relationship with the family around football, where football and family and relationships and fun and family experiences is going to be tied to football. And so that's sort of something that I am trying to create here with the family. So if that takes sacrificing me being fully glued to the TV, then so be it. I'm down for that. So, um, yeah, wanted to share that with you guys. But today's topic, guys, I want to talk today about this tricky little, man, it's the S word, shame, right? I want to talk to you guys about shame. I think uh, the lie that some of us can get into of not being good enough. I think that it is something that I see in my practice a lot, right? This core belief of like I'm not good enough, or um, can look so many different ways. It can look like I'm too stupid, I'm too dumb, I'm not smart enough. Uh, I am a failure. I don't have what it takes. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not smart enough. Whatever. It can look in so many different ways, but at the core of it is this feeling of I'm not good enough, and we call that shame in therapy, right? And I want to talk about this because I think for a lot of us, people who are leaders in our community, people who are family value driven, who maybe are entrepreneurs, who are go getters, um, who are chasing something better, sometimes our motivation is coming from this really maybe not so healthy place of I am not good enough. And it's something it's something that's really hard to talk about, hard to look at someone and say, hey, I'm having this core belief. Sometimes it's hard to even realize that's the core belief that we're having about ourselves. So I really wanted to talk about it, to normalize it, to put it out there, to tell you that like it's something that happens, that most of us, if not every one of us, struggles with at some level, right? And some of us can really struggle with it to the point where it could put us in a really, really hard place, a place where maybe we're mentally just checked out, or we're feeling depressed, or we're feeling anxious, or um, we're not engaging, or maybe we're drinking too much. So like this core belief can really take us out in so many different ways. And I just wanted to be honest about it. I wanted to be honest about the fact that it happens, the fact that I talk about this as a therapist to my clients all the damn time. Like it is a real thing that um, that haunts a lot of people. And my hope is that by talking about it, we can accept, right? Like that it's something maybe we won't even be able to get rid of, but how do we keep it from conquering our mindset, keeping us from being able to achieve the things that we want to have for ourselves, achieve a peace of mind evenly, because this can really mess with our mental capacity to feel at peace. Okay, so the way I like to talk about it is I like to call them shame cycles. The reason why I like to call them shame cycles is because I feel like they are these repetitive messages that maybe for some of us they're active all the time, right? We're feeling them all the time, we're hearing them all the time. We don't have any peace or any time away from them. But for some of us, we might have them sometimes. Sometimes they might be present. We might really notice them. We might wake up with them and be with them throughout the day. These messages of I'm not good enough. But then there's times where they're not around and we're feeling okay and we're feeling good and manageable. And so these cycles can come and go, right? They don't have to always be present for them to be a problem. Sometimes they show up when certain family members come into contact with us. Sometimes they show up for us when we're listening to certain type of content. There's a lot of content out there that is more motivational, that is inspiring, that is like mindset type of content that really trigger at this feeling of like not good enough. Like if you're not doing this, if you're not waking up at 7 a.m. in the morning, drinking 2 gallons of water and, you know, X, Y, and Z, then you're not good enough. Like there's this underlying message that can be given. And even though the message is intended for good, it can cause a lot of harm, right? So that's why that's why I talk about them in shame cycles. And something that I think is important for us to realize and to know is where do these shame cycles come from? Well, something in therapy, one of the things that we learn about is there is this generational transmission process, right? That what that means, it's a big word for, the way that people think, the core beliefs that they have about themselves can be passed down to future generations in their family. So if I have a core belief of not being good enough, of being a failure, of not being smart enough, if I'm not careful and mindful about that message and how that message spreads, how that message uh, influences my behavior, the way I communicate with people in my life, that can pass down to my children. And my children can take on that message on themselves. They start believing that maybe they are a failure, that they're not good enough. And the process repeats itself over and over. And so it gets passed down from generation to generation, which is why it's so important as the leader of your family, as a father, a husband, a partner, a parent, to go to therapy and work on yourself, to have a space where you can explore, some of these maybe beliefs that you start noticing pop up for you when you're doing something uncomfortable, or when you're noticing that you're fighting a lot with your partner, or when you're noticing that you're losing your temper with your child, or when you're noticing that you're stressed, depressed, anxious, sad, like those, like the learnings that can come from asking for help and from talking about some of these things and acknowledging that some of these things are real and they're here and they're present can pay off completely, because you can start learning about yourself and learning about like where did some of these things come from. And so I wanted to talk about that because to hopefully motivate you and get you to like think about like how can I take maybe an experience that I'm having that's causing some depression for me, some anxiety from me, where maybe like I'm always stressed, or I feel like, man, why aren't people ever there for me? Why aren't people supporting me? Why am I always failing at things? Why does it feel you know, um, like I'm not getting what I deserve? These moments in life that kind of suck, right? Like these experiences in life that kind of suck. Um, if we're living through those moments and we start noticing that like they take a toll on us, or maybe they stick with us a little longer than we want them to, even if they don't, like it is a good opportunity to go in to talk to someone and to understand like how am I responding to stressors, how am I responding um to these like to these experiences that are not pleasurable, and why am I responding the way I'm responding to them? Is there a better way that I could respond to them, or what can I learn about myself so that I can make sure that when I become stressed about money, right? When I become stressed about money, about not having enough money, about feeling financially stressed, and my daughter wants me to buy her an ice cream cone, and I tell her, no, we don't have any money. You always want something from me. You guys need to contribute. Like, how do I like that message is going to be sent to her now, and she's going to be like, oh man, like money is something that's really scarce, or like, man, I don't contribute to money, or man, I'm not there's going to be some messaging that's going to be stuck now to my daughter because I've reacted a certain way and I didn't know the message that I was sending to her, right? And so a very sloppy way of just describing how the generational transmission process can happen there. But how does this look for some of us? For some of us, it could feel like, man, I'm too dumb, I'm too stupid to learn how to communicate with my partner. I'm too stupid to be able to go back to school. I'm not good enough to be able to become a business owner. You know, I'm not good enough to be able to learn how to make a lot of money. I'm not good enough to, um, I don't deserve like to be loved. Like people don't love me. Like there's something that's wrong with me that makes it difficult for my wife to really love me and care for me. And like these are messages that are shame cycles, and we got to call them out because they're not truth. They're based in lies. They're based in experience that we had early on in our relationships with our parents that maybe they projected it onto us through the transmission process, or it was a way that we interpreted an experience happening to us, right? I'll give you an example here. My dad one time talked to me about one time he called he we were talking about mental health, and he was having a talk to his family with his siblings. He's got 8 siblings, and they were talking about how we need to treat ourselves and how we need to be mindful of how we talk. And he was reflecting on a moment that I don't even remember, where he said that I was about 5 years old, and I was in the kitchen and the stove was on, I guess, or what, the stove was on or the oven was on or something was on that was really hot. And I walked by it and I touched it with my hand and I started to cry. And my dad looks at me and says, "Are you an idiot? Why did you touch the stove? It's hot." And so he remembers that interaction and felt so bad that he called me an idiot. I don't know that he apologized in the moment or even realized like the impact it could have had. But I'll tell you this, that might have been one of many messages. I'm not saying it was that one message, and it rarely is the one thing. It could be like a one-time experience that sort of creates this narrative for you inside your mind that might activate a shame cycle, but it doesn't have to be. It could be repeated messages, right? So I'm not saying that was that one message that did it for me, but I do have a belief, a core belief inside of me that gets activated at times, a shame cycle that gets activated sometimes. It tells that makes me believe that I'm not smart enough, that I am dumb, right? And so again, it's not that one experience, but it's multiple experiences. For me, it's also because I'm very inattentive, and it was hard for teachers to be able to gauge me and engage me in school. And so there was always this narrative around me that I'm not very smart. I disproved that obviously because I got my master's degree and was able to pass classes and was able to do really well in school, but still the thought follows you, right? The thought follows you. And if you're not careful and mindful and doing your own work, you're going to end up believing in it. And there's times still today where I will believe it, right? And so I'm talking to you about this because I want you to be aware that it probably happens for you as well, right? And if it does happen for you as well, it's okay to admit it. It's okay to say, okay, yes, this does happen for me. Like I have these moments of weakness. I have these moments where I believe the shame cycle, where I believe the lie that I'm not good enough, or I believe the lie that I'm a failure or I'm dumb. And what can I do about it now that I'm here, right? So let's talk about like how do we heal from this? Like because if we want to be able to lead a family, if we want to be able to create generational impact for our families, if we want to be able to feel fulfilled and happy and to like to be able to just optimize like who we are as individuals emotionally, mentally, personally, we're going to have to figure out like what this is and how do we overcome it, right? So So I'm looking here at my notes here. So let's talk about some tools, some things that have helped me personally, but things that I can also help people with in therapy, that have helped people with in therapy in the past. And so tools for stopping a shame cycle. I'll kind of go over the tools and maybe we can kind of like dissect them or just dissect them one by one here, right? The tools for stopping a shame cycle. We need to recognize that a shame cycle is exactly that, a shame cycle, and it is not the truth. It is a lie. We need to be able to like take it out of our minds, out of the thought, and put it out on paper, put it into the exterior so we can look at it. If we actually externalize it and write it down, we take its power away. So we need to learn how to take its power away. We need to understand how that message affects us emotionally. Now, what is it that we're buying into about this message, and why is it that we're buying into that message? Then we need to understand, how we can heal from that message. What message do I actually need to hear? How can I correct that, create a transformative experience where I'm not believing that message anymore and I'm actually looking at things objectively and understanding, differentiating the lie from the truth. And we need to work to give ourselves a better messaging system. Like what are some truths that I can actually believe about myself that actually empower me as opposed to make me feel like crap. Okay. So these are the steps here. And so let me kind of go through these one by one. So recognizing that our belief system is a shame cycle and that it's a lie and not the truth. So I think that starts with just recognizing when we are in a shame cycle. Like, how do you know when you're in a shame cycle? What do you feel? What's happening around you? Do you feel more disconnected from people? Are you starting to question yourself? Are you starting to feel depressed, anxious, sad? Is it hard to get up out of bed? What are you feeling? Are you less social when you're in a shame cycle? What are those things that you could write down and notice? The next time you're in a shame cycle, why don't you write down some of the ways that you're thinking, the ways that you're behaving, so that you really understand what a shame cycle looks like for you. Then I want you to write down the messages that the shame cycle is telling you. What is the messages? It's probably going to be context specific, right? So if maybe you're looking for work and you're not getting any calls back, so the message is coming back like you're not good enough, you're not a good candidate, you don't have enough experience, you're not likable, you interview, you don't interview well, people don't like you, no one gets along with you. Like maybe that's where the messaging starts to really come up for you. So what are those messages? And write them down on a piece of journal. We're not writing them down to make them more believable. We're writing them down because if you write them down, what could happen is you could start to see how silly these things are, right? Sometimes that we believe about ourselves. We're also writing them down to really learn how to poke holes in them so that we can challenge them, so that we can like disprove them. And I can guarantee you that you can almost disprove any shame message that's coming up for you. And then we learn to challenge them. How do you challenge a shame cycle? You ask it, is this really true? Is this really true about myself? Am I really like, let me find those unique outcomes. Let me find times where I've had success. Let me find times where where I have been hired, let me find the evidence for people actually like liking interacting with me, or for me not being a failure. When are times that I've had success? When are times that like I felt loved? When are times that I felt smart? For me, there are times where I can get down on myself and feel really, feel like I'm foolish or like I'm not smart enough. And then I have to really dig down, and as hard as it sounds, I have to dig deep and find those evidences for, man, like, wait, am I really not smart though? Like I got my master's degree. Like, am I really not smart? Like, I've learned, this is how much I've learned over the past year. This is how much I've learned over the past decade. Like, I am a grown person, you know. We can also seek out support from a loved one to help us challenge these messages. So for me, like, I'll go to my wife and I'll be like, hey, like, and I'm really feeling this way. Like, I just need, like, what have you seen to show some evidence for me actually being smart, or for me actually, like, being successful? And she'll pile on things that I didn't even think about. She'll be like, oh man, like, you always help me with the tech stuff. Like, you have such great ways to problem solve when, we're in this pickle, in this bind or whatever. And like, okay, like, those are sometimes even more reinforcing than the ones that I can find for myself. Sometimes I go to my parent, right? My parent will be like, I am so proud of you. Like, I see you doing X, Y, Z, like, things that I don't even give myself credit for doing, because I'm living my life and they're observing my life. And so that sometimes that feedback becomes even more meaningful, more powerful than the one I can give myself. So we can externalize this as well, the shame cycle, right? Like, if there was a friend sitting in front of me who was feeling not smart enough, who was feeling like a failure, who was feeling like they don't have what it takes, that they're not worthy of love, like, what would I say back to them? What would I say back to that person? Would I believe it? Why or why not? Why or why not would I believe it? Why would I believe it, or why would I not believe it? You know? And usually that can help us take ourselves out of it as well, because sometimes it's hard for us to challenge our own shame cycle thoughts when we're really in it. So this kind of can take us out of it a little bit, and find just how ridiculous it is to think of ourselves in such a black and white way, right? Either I'm a failure or I'm not, right? Like, that's so black and white. Nobody's black and white like that. How can you give yourself a positive message right now when you're suffering in the shame cycle? After finding these evidences, after gathering some of these, like, and I would write them down, right? By the way, when you're gathering these informations, I open up my notes pad and I start writing these down, especially the meaningful ones, because I can go back when another shame cycle happens, because it will happen. Plan for that. And I can come back and I can start looking through that and remembering, what message do I need to give myself right now? That's right. That's right. My wife told me that, when I'm home, the girls, my daughters are happy, and they look for me, they ask for me, they miss me. Like, I am loved, right? Identify where you're showing up in your life to stop the black and white thinking. So for instance, like, especially if you're suffering from the shame cycle of, like, I'm a failure, right? Like, okay, those unique outcomes, where are you not a failure? Because you can't be a failure everywhere. Where are you not a failure? Where are you showing up? Where are you successful? Manny, you've been alive for 35 years. Like, tell me, like, there's got to be a place where you've succeeded, right? And obviously there is, right? And obviously there is for everyone. And every time that I've helped someone through this, like, and I've walked people through all walks of life, from people with deep depression, people with deep anxiety, people who don't have anybody, people who have been addicted to the hardest drugs, addicted to alcohol, done things that they feel super guilty about, super ashamed about. We can find some things that they are successful at. And give yourself what you need. That's my last step here. Give yourself what you need. When you're feeling crappy, when you're feeling shame, like, what do you need right now? And for the fellas out there that sometimes can, like, feel a little turned off by the cheesiness of therapy or the cheesiness of emotional work, like, this is the most important part for you. You might need a hug right now. So what? For the person that's an entrepreneur and that goes at it hard, like, you might need a break today. So what? Give that to yourself. We're humans. We have needs. We have emotional needs. Sometimes we need that connection. Sometimes we need to be told that we're loved. Sometimes we need a hug from a loved one, a mom, a dad, a grandparent, a spouse, a child. Sometimes that does make us feel better. You're not too good enough for that. Right? So these are just some steps here that I've broken down for you guys. If there's any, by the way, if you're listening to this and you've landed on a shame cycle and you've done some work on yourself to figure out, man, how does, what helps me when I'm in a shame cycle? Like I'd love to hear what's worked for you because there's so much that could help somebody when it comes to a shame cycle. I think the biggest takeaway from this messaging today is to just realize that, one, you're not alone. This happens to human beings. If you're human, if you're breathing, especially if you're driven, goal driven, this is going to happen to you, right? So that's okay. Like it doesn't have to stop you. You don't have to be victimized by it. You don't have to be less than for having some of these and for talking about them and for learning about them. Like you actually gain power over acknowledging them, over recognizing like, yeah, this is part of my humanness that comes with who I am. And so let me learn about it. Let me tap into it a little bit. And that's my message for you guys today. So I hope it was helpful. I'm trying to talk about some things that are real, that are raw, that I experience, as well as like the clients that I work with that are universal to everyone's experience. And so if you got some value from this podcast today, I just ask you for a couple things. First, please share it with a person that you love. A person that you love and care for, and know like, hey, like I want to spread a positive message. I want to reach a loved one of mine, a buddy of mine, a friend of mine, a fellow colleague of mine. Like I'm going to send them this message here for them, so they can listen to it. And please subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening. Send in your questions as well. I'd love to hear the feedback and questions, or even how just things are going with you, anything that you want to discuss on, or any questions that you have added to what we've talked about today. I'll leave the email in the comment box there. And I appreciate you guys for sticking through this and for following along. And I've noticed that we've gotten a couple more listeners that are on the show, which is amazing. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Football season is back. Remember that. Talk to your families about like how to make sure that you're going to be present through football season, because that's important. And I'll catch you on the next one.